If you had a debt, you paid that debt to that debtor, should you continue paying that debt even though your debt has been paid? No? Then why should former prisoners continue paying their debt to society? I'm here to convince to you that prisoners after release should get the right to vote for a few reasons. Upon arrest and even convictions, they still have rights. The purpose of prison is to reform, not just to punish them, and it's a disproportionate punishment to some groups of people. Starting with their rights. Not all rights are lost upon arrest and conviction. When one is arrested, they're read their rights, and these are known as the Miranda laws. They also have the right to not self-incriminate themselves and the right to fair trial. For without these rights, we probably will execute them on the spot. Building on top of these rights, European Court of Human Rights states that a blanket ban on voting is a human rights violation. This started in 2001 when John Hurst, a formerly incarcerated person, filed a complaint with the Courts of Human Rights against the United Kingdom government. In that court case, it was officially ruled that that ban was a human rights violation on voting. This was shown in Prisoner Disenfranchisement by William Ashby Powers in 2005. On top of that, Parliament was also then meant to pass a law that allowed prisoners, even while incarcerated, allow them to vote. That law has failed numerous times in Parliament and has led to more lawsuits such as Green and MT versus the United Kingdom, Firth and others versus the United Kingdom, and McHugh and others versus the United Kingdom. This begs the question, what is the purpose of prison? If you are for retributionism, you may agree with Roger Clegg, who wrote in 2005 a Texas Review of Law and Politics that prisoners do not deserve to vote, and they should be there in punishment, be there and be punished. As if you can't participate in society, you shouldn't be allowed to participate in society since you can't function. But prison is meant to reform lawbreakers into law-abiding citizens. Giving rights back to prisoners will give them a sense of civic duty, as the main reason why Canada and the Republic of Ireland gives the rights back to vote is so that they have that sense of civic duty and are encouraged to participate in society. In Prisoners, Politics, and the Polls by Cormac Buhuan and Ian O'Donnell, this was shown that giving them their rights back to vote lowers reoffending rates and prevents social isolation. As social isolation is a major contributing factor to reoffending rates. But then that begs the question, why wouldn't these former incarcerated people just vote for extremists into office? There is no evidence to prove that they're more likely to vote for one political party over the other, as many groups of different people are arrested and put in prison. And those groups of people have all lost their right to vote and have very different beliefs and codes. It is also encourages voter turnout for those who are not involved with the legal system, as if one group of people are more likely to be locked up, then there's less of them who are coming together and discussing on who they should vote for and why. On top of that, there is no evidence to suggest that they will vote for a more extreme candidate than the average citizen. There is no evidence to prove that a candidate, a formerly incarcerated person is more likely to vote for someone who has a more extreme view on trade policy or immigration, for example, than your average law-abiding citizen. On top of this, it is also a disproportionate punishment. Those who have been arrested are mostly affected during election years. On top of that, whoever is voted in affects those people, as they are still citizens, but they have no right to say or vote for whoever they wanted to vote for. And they still have a voice that needs to be heard. As in Mark Mauer's Voting Behind Bars, which was a project done in 2010, he has went to Maine and Vermont to prove that people who are able to vote while incarcerated, as it's legal to vote while incarcerated in those two states, that they are less likely to reoffend, are more likely to find jobs and participate in society as a reformed person upon release, because they were given those rights even while incarcerated. I'm here to tell you that we have many flaws in our system. And I hope today that I've convinced you to change one of those flaws by maybe going to your local congressman and telling them that prisoners should vote. Why? Because upon arrest and conviction, they still have rights. The purpose of prison is to reform them and not just punish them, as giving them their rights back after release will be proof of their reformation, and it is a disproportionate punishment to those who have been arrested unfairly. Hopefully, we can put humanity first and allow prisoners to vote again.